You are so fortunate because this is my specialty. Roll it, fellas. This is Ernest. I'm gonna die.
Give me a hug.
You are gonna love this. Hello, and welcome to Wretched. My name is Todd Friel. I am your host, the wretch the song refers to. And you are looking at a man who is so arrogant. Even as I share with you how pride-filled I am, I'm actually hoping you're going to think that I'm really humble to be willing to admit how arrogant I am. Hey, if you think I'm the only one, arrogance is a malady that plagues all of us. In fact, I would suggest to you, no, actually, I think I might insist to you that pride is the root of all of our sins. Can't think of a single sinful action that you and I commit that doesn't have pride lurking underneath it, motivating us to disobey God. We are pride monsters. And guess what God hates? A haughty spirit. Don't know about you, but I have one. And whilst we might go about the business of trying to mortify that on a daily basis, it still lurks in the bushes. Let us take an examination, courtesy of Chuck Lawless, who gives us a 10-point test to see if you, like I, am really arrogant. Number one, you believe few people are as smart as you are. Gotta confess, this does not apply to me because at best I can only think maybe one or two people are as smart as I am. Okay, maybe our pride and arrogance isn't that overt, and yet we do have a tendency to think we've got this figured out when everybody else is pretty much wrong. Consider any news story, any contentious issue in our culture, and we have enough of those these days. You know the solution, just like that. And anybody who is not on the same page, you think, what's the matter with them? And we should be asking, what's the matter with me? That is a surefire sign of arrogance. When we cluck our tongues, okay, maybe it's only one cluck, but really, this is so simple. What's the matter with those people? Why can't they get it figured out? Or perhaps more subtly, my kids, what's the matter with them? Why can't they get the rules? We're basically saying, I can, I's smarter, they's dumber. That's arrogance. Marker number 2. Your first reaction to negative is to be defensive or to cast blame on others. I remember when this happened to me once, and boy, did I set that fellow straight. If you, like the proverbial fool, because that is precisely what the Proverbs define as the marker supreme of a fool. No, don't give me any information that I could use because I don't need any improvement. That is a sign of a fool. We don't think that we need input. We don't need correction. We don't need anybody to help us get better at being a human being. Please note, I really cannot be pointing a finger at you because this hits me right in the chops. Be honest with yourself. Do you love it when people say, hey, you're not doing this right? Or do you have a tendency to put them up, put them up? I know I do. The Proverbs tell me not only am I arrogant, I'm also a fool. Marker number 3, titles matter to you. This perhaps doesn't directly apply to you, but it might. This was specifically written for an individual who perhaps has earned some sort of degree that gives them some sort of a title. And they include that in every email that they send right underneath their name so that everybody knows they're an esquire or maybe a lawyer. That would be a sign that perhaps you have arrogance, because you want people to think as highly of you as you do of yourself. You say, well, I don't have that kind of a title, so that one doesn't apply to me. Hold the phone, Henrietta. How do you want people to think about you? Do you care, title or not? Whether it is formal, it can be an informal. You are Claire the Beautiful. You are Sam the Witty. You just want people to know about your attributes because you like them. That is yet another sneaky form of arrogance. Isn't this just a rotten sin that infects all of us? Marker number 4, you assume your organization cannot fail. For you, dear businessman, dear manager, dear boss, dear leader, what could possibly go wrong with moi at the helm? This would be a sign again that you subtly think, I've pretty much got the universe under control, at least my little universe. Bad things can't happen to me because I've got this. It may not roar out of a box like the lion in a... Rah! Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Might not be that overt, but it can subtly infect our thinking. Can it? Marker number 5, not knowing insider information bothers you. Why is this a sign of arrogance? Well, I should be the one who knows these things. I should be the one who has this information. I'm the fellow who needs to be in the know. What is that again? A subtle sign of arrogance. This is a sin that undoubtedly it infects you just as it infects me. The question now is, what do I do about it? Next on Wretched.
Paul wrote the second letter to the Thessalonians to further encourage and instruct them in the face of persecution. Some Thessalonians feared that they had missed the Lord's return. Paul reminds them that God will punish those who persecute the church, and he will be faithful to return for his people.
For the Christian, there is no more tragic image than empty pews in empty churches because there are so many empty pulpits. The Masters Academy International is changing that, filling pulpits with men who can rightly divide the word of truth, which then fills up pews and fills up churches. Please adopt an international seminary with the Masters Academy International, wretched.org/pastor. This is a wonderful Metashare story of a pastor and his wife who were given the gift of a child who suffered a severe stroke 10 hours after being born, was airlifted to a hospital, not knowing if she would survive. Dad called Metashare and every time had peace. Metashare is affordable, biblical health sharing. Mary Grace is now 2 years old. She is doing just fine, and maybe, just maybe, it is time for you to join the Metashare family.
Welcome back to an absolutely amazing, perfectly delivered episode of Wretched. That's right, I am your amazing host, doing a spectacular job, delivering profound information you certainly need. How's that going down? Do you kind of go, gack? Yuck. Who does that fellow think he is? It's clear. He thinks he's amazing, and here's the problem. I actually do. But so do you. So do we all. Pride, it is a monster, and it lurks in every crevice and corner. And it just waits to pounce and present itself and to let the world know, I'm the king of this jungle. Chuck Lawless helping us do a self-examination to see our arrogance, because if you and I kind of go gack when we see somebody pride-filled, imagine how God feels. Let's continue taking a test, shall we? Marker number 6. You're disconnected from your team members. This applies to you if you're a manager in a business. You lead the way, and you don't need those little people. They do their thing while you do yours. You are like a train that is disconnected from all of the cars you pull. You're the engine. You're the leader. Those folks are back there. That is a sign of arrogance. But parents can have this same sort of attitude with the kiddos. I'm running this. I'm the head of the household. I'm the adult here. And they're just there to, well, do whatever it is that they do, perhaps make you happy. But basically, this is your ship and you're the captain. That is arrogance. Marker number 7. Spiritual disciplines are secondary, if not non-existent in your life. Perhaps you're thinking, okay, well, I struggle with spiritual disciplines, but that doesn't mean I'm arrogant. Permit me to demonstrate, and boy, am I going to be sorry. I'm going to do this. I'm in a desert, by the way. My tongue is stuck to the roof of my mouth. I'm so thirsty. I guess I needed more actors for this skit. You come along and you offer me some water. You'd go, wait, what's the matter with you? Why don't you want water? Clearly, you are in need. If I rejected something that is so vital to my existence, you'd be going, you are just absolutely clueless about your need. Bingo! When you and we don't find the time, we're just too busy, too tired, doing other things instead of reading our Bibles, going to church, spending time in prayer, fellowshipping with the saints. We're basically saying, I'm fine, and that is arrogance. Marker number 8. No one has permission to speak truth into your life. I'm good. Precisely the problem with arrogance. I'm good. I don't need you to help me. And if somebody does dare enter into your life to try to help you in an area that they have observed needs just a little bit of info to help you be more godly, hey, who do you think you are? Maybe you're quick when somebody enters your world to correct you, to remind them of all of their problems. That is yet another subtle sign of arrogance. Marker number 9. Other people see you as arrogant. Want to do something really humble? Go ahead and ask your family, do you ever think I'm arrogant? That takes some courage, and get ready for what might come flying back at you. They might be able to see it a whole lot better than we do. And guess what that is? Another sign of arrogance. These little tickers, they're deceitful, they're wicked. Who can know them? I can't. I need help. I need others to observe me externally and then import some wisdom into my life, observing. Here's the problem with you, Friel. Without others, I can't get better. Why? Because my heart, it's deceitful. My heart is filled with passion for me. I love me. I dig me totally. I believe that I hung the moon. I can do no wrong. That is my deceitful heart. And the wise, humble man allows others to enter in and go, I've been looking down there, and who did you know that was in there? A humble person loves that. If you don't, it's another sign you, like I, are arrogant. One more marker. Number 10, this post bothers you or doesn't bother you. Either way, This article written by Chuck Lawless, if it gets up your nose, means you're arrogant. If it doesn't get up your nose, you're arrogant. We can't escape this. We are pride monsters now that we recognize how much it has infiltrated our entire being. A love for self, a disdain perhaps for others. We need to understand how much God hates it so that we can grow out of it and become a lot more like Him. Next on Wretched.
When in a crisis, seeing clearly can seem impossible, and that is why ultrasounds are so crucial. For just $28 per ultrasound, a woman will see that what is in her womb is a baby, and 80% of the time will choose life. Please provide as many ultrasounds as you can. Preborn.org/wretched. Preborn.org/wretched.
Would you like to know why we would give you an absolute pistol whipping over your magnificent pride and then have the gall to ask you to become a gospel partner? Because we actually are that ridiculously arrogant. Nevertheless, would like to encourage you to consider becoming a gospel partner. The more you give, the more we give away, the more we can reach people with the gospel, the more students we can witness to on campuses, the more TV shows we can produce, the more people we can reach with Wretched Radio and TV. Would you please consider becoming a gospel partner? You can go to wretched.org/donate, and if it's possible, you could commit to monthly. We'd be really, really grateful. Wretched.org/donate. Welcome back to Wretched. You've got it, I've got it, and God hates it. Arrogance. It galls us when we see it in others. How much more does God hate pride-filled people? He disdains an arrogant attitude, a haughty spirit. He despises. That alone should cause us to want to get it out of us as fast as possible, and yet this is no easy task. You and I need supernatural help. That is why we need the Bible, a supernatural book with supernatural power to do a supernatural work that you and I cannot do. Even if I could get rid of all of my pride, I'd tell you how amazing I am that I'm no longer arrogant. We need help, so let us run to the Bible, which commands us to humble ourselves before God's mighty hand.
What does it mean, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God? Understand this, that God is sovereign, and whatever difficulties you are going through, whatever issues you face in life, they are within the framework of the mighty hand of God. And they are better for you if they humble you than they would be if they exalted you. God is opposed to the proud, people demanding their rights. Gives grace to the humble. So humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God. It's not as if you're humbling yourself under the hand of man or even the hand of Satan. You're humbling yourself under the sovereign, mighty, providential hand of God, knowing that whatever you may suffer will be turned to eternal joy and gladness and reward.
Well, now there's a shocking motivation to lose our arrogance and be humble. A reward? Are you kidding me? Arrogant, pride-filled beings who humble themselves under the mighty hand of God, the wisest thing we can do, we actually receive a reward? That's precisely what we see in Philippians 2:9-11. If you recall, Jesus Christ, who should be the most pride-filled, arrogant man on the planet, humbled himself. He became a servant to the point of death on the cross. And then what does verses 9-11 say? Therefore, God has exalted him. And that is what God will do for you when you voluntarily humble yourself under the mighty hand of God. Do you remember that song long time ago, Refiner's Fire, my heart's one desire is to know you? Put on the brakes, Henrietta. Do you know how hot a refiner's fire is? Answer, really hot. You do not want the refiner's fire. You do not want God to humble you. It is best to humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, knowing, get out of town, he's going to give me a reward.
But I want you to catch something of what these verses are saying about Christ's exaltation, and keep in mind, this is to motivate you to say it's more important for me to be exalted by God, therefore I humble myself, than it is for me to exalt myself and be humbled by God.
Did you catch that? The motivation for humbling ourselves under God's hand is a recognition He's the one I want to please voluntarily. When you and I have pride and arrogance, especially the public version of it, what are we seeking? The praise of men. That is why our priorities need to be radically adjusted. When you and I demonstrate we think highly of ourselves and desire other people to agree with us, we are demonstrating, I want their praise. Instead, I should desire His praise. Now that leads to another question. How do I get motivated rightly to desire God's praise? It is by looking at the single most humble man in history.
Jesus had many names, titles: Messiah, Emmanuel, Son of God, Son of Man, Christ, the Word. But Lord is the name above every name. Kurios, it means absolute ruler. He is Lord by His Father's doing. We don't make Him Lord. No one does. He is Lord. The great Christian cry, Jesus is Lord. That is our confession.
And that Lord of Lords humbled Himself for you. That is the key. We recognize our pride is a desire to receive the praise of man. Our desire should be to receive the praise of God. The motivation and desire to do that and have that change of attitude is to stare at the humble one, Jesus.
You start and I start from a place far lower than Christ, right? To humble ourselves. And yet we will be lifted up and exalted to the very place where Christ is. This is the kindness and grace of God. Don't spend your life trying to demand your rights, trying to get what you think you deserve, being angry at people or vengeful. Be humble. Don't be conceited. Don't be self-centered. Be concerned about others. Be loving. Do everything you can to create unity, and leave the future exaltation to the Lord, because when He does it, it's going to be so far beyond anything you can even imagine.
I'd like to thank all of the people responsible for allowing the spotlight to be shined on me. We lose all desire for temporal awards and rewards, the praise of men, the exaltation of mere humans. We are to desire the praise and the rewards of our Maker, and the only way to experience that radical supernatural attitude adjustment is by studying the one who was the most exalted and yet humbled himself the most. Surprise, next on Wretched.
Thanks to you, Tomorrow Clubs in Eastern Europe is having a generational impact. Please meet Artem, a bit of a teenage ruffian, took his little brother to a Tomorrow Club, got saved, and now Artem is leading his own Tomorrow Club, teaching kids to love Jesus. What a generational impact this ministry is having. Please support your own Tomorrow Club at tomorrowclubs.org/wretched.
Welcome back to a Wretched Surprise. All right, fine, you're on to us. A sermon sizzler from, you guessed it, John MacArthur.
So the one true God, the Son, came into the world, humbled himself. The Father then exalted him, gave him the title Lord over everyone, and now commands that the entire universe of conscious beings bow their knee to him. Whether they are angels or men and women, they all bow. Whether they're holy angels or damned angels, whether they are saints or sinners, whether they are in heaven or hell, they all bow the knee, and they all ultimately confess Jesus is Lord. Every tongue will confess that.
Amazing, isn't it? You and I have a tendency to think that we are the center of the universe. If we actually shared verbally with somebody the attitude that dwells within each human heart, everybody would gag. What? You think you are the center of the universe, which just reveals we all think we should be. And yet, there is one who is. He actually is the center of the universe. He is the purpose for our existence. He is the reason that there is a universe, and he is seated right in the center of it, and he wants all eyes on him because he's the best thing there is. Imagine the actual center of the universe. I'm just going to put that aside. I'm going to set aside my right to be praised and worshiped and adored and to be given all of the adoration that exists. And he humbled himself for you and me, who actually think we are the center of the universe. Amazing humility. How can it be that God died for you and for me if you have been perhaps experiencing just a wee little bit too much arrogance? Stare at the center of the universe, who humbled himself to the point of death unto a cross. And if you have never repented and put your trust in the centerpiece of the universe, all I can say to you is, frankly, you're just missing out. Until tomorrow, go serve your king.
Congratulations to Ellen Van Truren. You're the winner of today's free download, Herman Who. You could win free stuff too if you sign up for the free Wretched newsletter at wretched.org. Wretched, amazing grace.